Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Pop Review. I'm Sean.
I'm Alex.
And tonight we're talking about Game of Thrones, the entire series.
Yeah, so we're here. It's
over.
We're done.
We're here and it's over, and had a little bit of time to digest everything.
Yep.
Let it sit in. We also watched a documentary that aired the following Sunday.
Thank God
after
for
the
that.
finale, which
I wish they had made a whole other season of just documentary stuff, like another 6 weeks of every week is like an hour-long documentary. That would have been good. And maybe in the years to come they will do that because the show is so iconic.
Yeah, after
maybe.
10 years or something,
Yeah.
revisit it. But on the complete series Blu-ray, there's going to be a lot of footage and stuff, and hopefully there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that we haven't seen that we will see on that.
True.
Which I already ordered.
Yes.
So basically what we're doing here is we're just talking about Game of Thrones as a whole, its lasting impact, things that we think that they didn't talk about that they should, or storylines that got shortchanged or what have you. What are your thoughts now that the show is completely finished? Because some people feel that Season 8 wasn't very good and that it has damaged the legacy of Game of Thrones as a whole. What do you think on that front?
It's really hard to separate because it's so fresh,
Yeah.
and that's why I was telling you earlier, like, it would be good to watch it again from season 1 to 8, all the way through, and just kind of see, without the waiting, without the surprises, just sort of, like, see how it plays out. But we're not there yet. I don't have time to do that at this moment. I would say that I would still recommend this show to people.
Absolutely.
I still think it is an incredible show and has proven its worth in so many ways that I don't think the shortcomings, and I do feel that there are shortcomings in Season 8, Season 7 too, I don't feel that those should taint the whole series.
Yeah.
Because it really is an incredible piece of work. I mean, the actors, like, I look at these actors and I don't see actors. I see the characters.
Yeah.
And that's really a testament to the production designers, to, the actors themselves, of course, and, everyone else who worked on it. So, I would say overall as a series, it is a good series.
Yeah.
It is great.
I would echo what you're saying. It is still a great series. It's one of the best series of all time and one of the best series I've ever watched. And just because I may have a feeling on Season 8 or the last episode or how it ended doesn't taint the fact that this show was great. And if you, before Season 8 started, if you felt that this was the greatest show of all time or you enjoyed it immensely since then, you shouldn't let 6 episodes taint the rest of the 67 that came before it. Mm-hmm. If you love the series from Season 1 to 7, which I know a lot of us all did, and I didn't hear a lot of problems, quote unquote, until we started Season 8. You shouldn't let the last 6 episodes taint it for you, because it was a nice long journey till then. You shouldn't let the last 6. I mean, because I know that's where the show leaves off. But even the best of shows didn't have the best ending. But we still love the show. Like, I love Dexter. It didn't end the way I hated the ending, but I still loved the show. Mm-hmm. I loved Seinfeld. The last episode was just okay. I love Seinfeld. So The Sopranos had a ending that people didn't understand when it first happened, and then as time gone on, we've come to live with it. So I know it is fresh in our minds what's happened, but I think in 10 years or so we might look back on it and it may not be as bad as we're all saying now.
I think that's a good point. Like, I think time heals all wounds.
Yeah.
But I do think that maybe a little bit of time away from it and then looking back, we're gonna feel this nostalgia factor where it's be like, oh, you know what? This was great because I miss it.
Yeah, I do miss it already. Like having a Sunday go by and it's like, oh, there's no Game of Thrones to watch. Even the documentary was just like, yeah, this doesn't fill the void of the show. It's nice to see the behind the scenes of it, but it doesn't fill the void of not having it.
Yeah, and we do have to talk about the shortcomings because
we can go into that right now.
So let's go. Let's dive right in because I do feel that there has been a disservice done to this amazing series that they've built up over the course of years and years, which I've been watching from the beginning, and people who are fans of the books have been waiting for this even longer.
Yeah.
So I do think that we need to address...
continue to wait to see until the new books come out.
Exactly. Yeah, because we still don't have the actual final books.
Yeah.
But I do think that there are shortcomings with
Oh yeah,
this
absolutely.
final
I mean, there's no debating that, and and I think, but I would say watching the documentary helped put it in perspective of, at some point, this just had to be it, because where else were they gonna take it? The show was getting so big, so expensive.
It's
at a certain point, it's like you have to stop at some point.
It's not about taking it further. It's about taking what you have and doing it justice. And that is where I feel like they failed. I feel that I don't mind the outcome of what we got, but I do not like the way we got there.
I agree 100% with that sentence.
Yeah, so no, I don't think we needed to keep going in this universe in this way. I do think that, it needed to end the way that it did, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But I don't like how rushed it felt. I don't like how all these paths that they have been weaving over the course of, years, seasons, like years of my life that I've put into this show, they kind of dropped, or it fell flat. And, and not even in a tragic way. Like, there's one thing to say, like, oh, that's crazy that, so-and-so decided to become a bad person. It's one thing to say that. It's another thing to say, like, okay, wait, where did that come from, though? Like, it's not satisfying. There's a satisfaction element, and then there's just like, oh, well, we have to end the show. And that's how I felt it happened, was, oh, we have to end the show. Well, as opposed to wrapping things up.
But I think it was more or less, we need to end the show, because
it was, because the showrunners had to move on.
Well, but I think they got to a point where it's like, there's nowhere else for us to go, so we got to end it.
It's not about going somewhere.
I'm just saying, I think that's where the point they got to was like, because the show was getting too big. It was getting too big.
You don't have to keep it big. Just take what you have. And slowly make sure that you wrap up these characters, wrap up these plot lines, like make sure that everything that you planted, all these seeds that you planted from seasons 1 through 7, actually grow into like a small little plant. Whether or not you pluck the plant out, or you burn it, or you grind it up and make it into medicine, doesn't matter, but like make sure we see the plant.
I mean, I think from their point of view, they did.
They did not.
I'm saying from their point of view. I'm not saying from our point of view, like, I don't feel like rush isn't the word I would use. Again, how we got there, I may not agree with. The where we ended up was fine. Like, the way every character ended up, I didn't have a problem with. I just had a problem with the journey of season 8. That's all I really have a problem with. And I think maybe that's more or less what people's real problem is like, for some they feel rushed, for some they don't agree with the ending, but for me it's more or less, the journey we were on for season 8 felt wrong to me.
Yes.
So I don't know if more episodes would have helped that. I don't know. Like, this idea also of them, some of you guys signing a petition to have them reshoot it. That's never gonna happen. I don't understand why fans like. I understand fans. As fans, we have certain effect on things. But if you really think HBO is going to spend money and reshoot the entire season 8, you're crazy. You're literally crazy. That is never gonna. I don't care how many signatures you guys gather. It's never gonna happen.
Well,
ever.
But also on that front, like, that's really rude to the people who actually worked on the film. See, listen to me. The show.
Yeah, I agree too.
Like, people who actually put, and watching the documentary, like, you can see this. People put
a lot of work,
a lot on the line for this show and put all of their heart into it. So, and these people had nothing to do with the story. They were just people who were given the script, and they're like, yes, let's just do our best. Yeah. And so, like, to say that, like, oh, yeah, just reshoot it. Yeah. It's like all that work,
just throw it away and let's start from scratch. It's never gonna happen. Really, I guess rude. Maybe some people feel, get like some kind of closure or something, or some kind of feeling by putting that out there, but it's never going to happen. And I don't understand, like, the show is never going to end that pleases everyone. That's never going to happen. So you just have to accept the ending that we have and just, for lack of a better word, just deal with it. It is what it is. It's not going to change. Maybe the books might add something here or there, but at the end of the day, this is the ending. We're not getting another one. That's it. This is it. That's it. The chapter on this show is closed, so we have to deal with it. So for me, it's just a matter of coming to grips with what we have and just saying, like, if someone said, "Hey, should I watch Game of Thrones?" I never watch it. What are you gonna say? Like, "Oh yeah, the show sucks because the last season is terrible. You shouldn't watch it."
I would say absolutely watch it.
I would say absolutely watch it. It's a great series. You just didn't and you can say it was a great series. I just didn't like how the last 6 episodes ended, and that's fair to say. But to say that the show is garbage now or terrible because you didn't like how it ended is doing the show a huge disjustice. Huge disjustice. If it was a show that, like, you could say, like, oh, the first couple of seasons were great and then it just never was great ever again, that's a completely different conversation we could have. But that's not the case, because before season 8 started, everybody was all super jazzed and excited and devastated, like, oh my god, we had to wait so long for season 8. Even when the first episode of season 8 happened, we still got that joy and that greatness. But as it went along, people just started to get, like, because it didn't go the way they wanted, it's like, oh, this show is losing its steam, it's losing its luster, and it didn't end the way they wanted. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and we'll have to come to grips with it.
Yeah, and it's also a very, like, interesting situation to be in, one that I have never been in before, where I've started watching the show from the get-go in 2011.
Yeah.
So this is actually, like, just a part of my life now,
Yeah.
you know? And then to see it end, so I can understand why fans are so, you know, upset one way or the other, or just emotional about it,
yeah.
one way or the other, because, you know, you're waiting and you're watching and you're waiting and then you're watching, and these characters, you really learn to love them
and root for them.
Yeah, and root for them or hate them or, like, whatever it is. So I can understand why some people are saying that. But I do think that now might be the time to talk about, when we're talking about disappointments or whatever, I think it's a really good time now to talk about things that they set up in the series that maybe never came to full fruition.
What's the biggest one you think?
The Night King.
That's mine. That's mine.
I think a lot of people think this, and I find it so just mind-boggling that they decided to kill him off prior to the series ending.
Yeah.
So it's in the middle of season 8. Well, I guess...
no, it's in the middle.
Yeah, I guess it was in the middle. Yeah.
In episode 3, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the threat that we've been talking about, like, the first scene of the series.
Yes.
Season 1, episode 1, deals with the White Walkers and this mysteriousness surrounding them.
And what does that mean?
Symbols,
yes. Man.
And every subsequent season has been about, you know, Jon Snow trying to convince everyone else that this is a problem, this is a threat, or he's learning about it, and we're learning about it. It's like, why is he taking babies from Craster's Keep and he's making new White Walkers? Like, what is going on here?
The kingdom that he had, like...
exactly. Yeah. And we see, like, a brief moment where we understand how he was made. I guess the children of the forest made him to protect them from men.
Yes.
And then we kind of drop off on the meaning of everything. And then they're dead.
Yeah, and he's gone.
That's the biggest disappointment for me in the series, and I know that the way they look at it is like, okay, these aren't like characters' motivation. This is death. This is actually death. There is no rhyme or reason. But at the same time, if this is the biggest threat to everybody, why kill them off halfway through the last season? I feel that the better choice would have been to bring the White Walkers and the Night King down to King's Landing. And in the chaos, that's when Daenerys loses her mind. Yeah. That's when people make the wrong choice, is because of all the chaos. That's when Cersei maybe we'll talk about her death, but maybe gets scared and tries to find a way out. I feel like that was the only way that the series could have ended, and they didn't end it that way.
I agree. Like, for me, it's like the whole build-up to what the Night King represented. Mm-hmm. Like, he is and was the big bad. I understand, again, from their point of view, that the whole show is about the Game of Thrones and who's going to sit on there.
But that was the whole point, was that it's not important if the Night Kings come.
No, and I agree with that. Yeah. It's a sense that I understand, like, that's one thing, but then the way they built up the Night King, the way we saw him, like, slowly gain more power, like, the interactions he had with Jon Snow.
He took a dragon.
Yeah, like, all these things, and the way, and it's not even that, I don't mind that they killed him. I don't mind that. Again, it's just how they did it is what I don't agree with, because his character, based on how they built him up and set him up, deserved better than the way he went out. Not the fact that he went out. Don't have a problem with them killing him. I always thought he was going to die, but his character deserved more than what he got, based on what they did with him. They made him out to be this huge, big bad that's looming, that's threatening. And the fact now that he only really, for lack of better terms, he only really did one thing, which was that battle at
Hardhome.
At Hardhome, but really that just took the wildlings out. In terms of Westeros, he only had the battle at Winterfell. And
that we saw, yeah.
Yeah, and as the show first started, what was the whole thing about the White Walkers in terms of how Westeros people thought of? Oh, they're a myth. They're a legend. They're not real.
Yes. And so
from their point of view, if you're not in the North, they're still not real. They're still a legend.
Exactly. So it would have been really fun, and this is a really fun trope to watch play out in fantasy films, where the thing that you thought wasn't real is real. And so that would have been really fun to watch. And I guess Cersei kind of had that experience in season 7.
But not really.
They brought the guy down, and she's like, ugh.
But she never saw
to see the whole population.
King.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that is a moment. You know what I always say? Like, they say about acting is reacting. But I also believe that is the most important tool for the viewer as well. Yeah. Is watching other people react to what is on the screen, which might be some kind of magic or other craziness. Like, acting is reacting, but also viewing is watching people react, because we align with the people who are like, what is this?
Like,
you know?
I would have loved to see Cersei react to the Night King's army coming to King's Landing.
Well, and
would have loved to have seen that.
We talked a lot about fan theories about Cersei's so desperate. What if she makes a pact with the Night King? You know, she has this baby. What if she offers it up in terms of like trading it, you know, for her life? And like,
or trading it for an alliance.
Exactly. So I feel like, and that would have really fed into this chaos of all the politics fall apart when death is at your door. And I can't say it well enough. They really shit the bed on this one, because that would have been such an interesting way for the show to go out. Is death is at everyone's door, and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, what do you do?
You know?
And but it kind of did it a little bit in the sense that you put things aside to deal with the Night King, and then now that he's gone, you go back to whatever it is you were doing before. And I like that element of it, but the fact that Cersei really didn't lose anything, she only gained from not getting involved. So, like, for me, it's just, and the fact that Jon never fought the Night King really also bothered me a little bit too, because they've been building up to that.
Even if he wasn't the one to kill him,
I'd be
still
okay
have to see him fight.
Yeah, I'm okay with Arya killing him. I have no problem with that whatsoever. If that would happen in episode 6 instead of episode 3, I would have enjoyed it even more so. Yeah. But if you put off Arya killing the Night King to episode 6 and you have Jon fight him in episode 3 and he loses, and then they have to retreat, which is what I thought they were going to do. Once he did this, I thought they were all going to be like, all right, we're done. We got to get out of here.
Yeah,
if you have John fight him there, and then he has to retreat because it's just too much, that would have been a more satisfying ending, and then them all marching south and them having to figure out what the hell are we gonna do now.
I agree.
And then see what Cersei would do if now the death is at her doorstep. How would she react? What kind of pact would she make with either the Night King or Daenerys or Jon? What would she do?
Yeah, because the whole show is about politics. It's about making a deal and not telling someone, or, and that's what Cersei does. She's all about making pacts. And of course, the last one that she made really backfired when she decided to, go with the seven, the religious fanatics.
Yeah.
That really backfired. But that's the whole show.
Yeah.
It's about making alliances, and they either go really well or they don't, and people don't expect them. And so it's very strange that they completely abandoned that entire the theme of what Game of Thrones really is. And what it was leading up to. And what it was leading up to in the interest of, I don't know, maybe they're just trying to surprise us.
But that's not, but like I said, you're doing the character a disservice. Like, all the symbols, what the hell do they even mean? We still don't know. It's like they left that symbol in episode 2.
Yeah, they really built that up. And
like it was supposed to mean something. And I was like, oh, well, we're going to find out, I guess. We never did.
Yeah, there's
there's
carvings and the cave at Dragonstone. Yeah. And it's like, oh, look at all these spiral patterns and wow. And then all it means is like, oh, yeah, I'm coming to kill you.
I said it in our recap for episode 3. It literally, the Night King was his whole purpose, basically, as now you can look at the entire season, he's just there to weaken Dany's army. Because I said it then, I'll say it now. If it wasn't for the Night King, she would have had 3 dragons, all the Dothraki, all the Unsullied going into Westeros. There was no way. I mean, she obviously she didn't lose, but things would not have things wouldn't have happened the exact same way if she had all that going in. She may not have went mad. So his only purpose then was to weaken her and change her perspective. So
he's a plot device.
Yeah, he was really just a plot device, and he deserved to be more than that based on how the show built him up and all the momentum he had going into season 8.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about, while we're on this front, the magic of the series.
Yeah.
So when we first started in season 1, up until the last episode of season 1, which is episode 10 or 9 or 10, there's no magic. There's reference of these mysterious White Walkers that may or may not exist. There's reference of, dragons, they died out long ago. Yeah. There's nothing in this world that makes you think that it's different from the one that we live in, outside of the fact that, it is.
It could have been like the olden times, really.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Besides dragons.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. So it's very just, medieval, everything that we know to have existed, whatever. Yeah, we talk about dragons, but there's no dragons, whatever. But obviously, when Daenerys' dragons hatch at the end of season 1, that opens up an entire different world. It's like, wait a minute, magic does exist. The White Walkers are real, and it's not just some like
fairy tale story.
Yeah, exactly. Even though we saw it in episode 1, season 1. You kind of wonder, like, oh, maybe it's just some, mercenary, or I don't know what's going on here. But slowly they start introducing magic into the series. We see the Lord of Light coming in, and we don't understand the Lord of Lights.
We still don't.
Exactly. But there's and then the stuff with the Arya and the faceless men, and all this magic starts coming into the story, and it kind of dies with the Night King, and
more or less,
it's really disappointing.
Besides the dragon, it's
really disappointing because I would think that they would poetically bring it to an end. Like, oh, actually, so magic existed for these 5 years, and now we're kind of back to this position where there is no magic, and we just talk about it like it's stories and myths. So that was one thing that was kind of disappointing, is they had all this magic, and they didn't really give it any meaning or thought. You know,
well, I mean,
the Lord of Light specifically.
Yeah, but I mean, if they would have tied it more into the Night King and made it like funnel through him, whereas like as long as he exists, magic exists, but now that he doesn't, it doesn't. So if they went down that kind of road, maybe that would have made more sense. But you're right. I enjoyed the magical elements. Again, the fact that you're right, they kind of disappeared after episode 3 of season 8 felt a little weird because we've gotten used to that being an element of a lot of things that happened.
Yeah.
And then
I wanted it
was all gone.
And specifically with the Lord of Light, like I wish that, I don't need answers necessarily, but I wish that they had brought that out in a way where they would have killed all of the Red Priestesses. So I wish that Melisandre had come with every Red Priestess, and so in one fell swoop, all of the people who speak for the Lord of Light are dead. And so now the Lord of Light still exists, but can't really use the powers in the real world anymore. So that's just one way where I felt that that magic in particular never really came full circle. Sandor Clegane, the Hound, is afraid of fire his whole life, and in season 7 suddenly is able to look into the fire and see the future. Or I guess that was season 6. Wait.
What, where he's able to see it?
Mm-hmm.
That was in 7.
7? Okay. So he's looking into the fire, and so I was like, oh, okay, so they're going to have the Hound, the Lord of Light's going to work through the Hound with fire, and he's going to have like a fire sword, even though he's afraid of it, and like, there's like a poetic justice there that the writers didn't take, and I don't understand why. That's just one example.
I mean, there's just a lot of avenues that, like, the long and short of what we're pretty much saying is there's a lot of avenues that they could have taken that you chose not to. One of the things...
or just wrap up at all. Like, you don't have to explore it fully, but just, like, do one thing that makes me feel that it mattered.
I mean, it goes back to the statement we said. We liked how it ended, but we don't like how they got there. And the thing that I think is people's biggest problem, especially like a lot of people I'm talking to, is how Daenerys, the season 8 ended for her. So that she ended up turning into the Mad Queen was not the weirdest thing, because they've been teasing that the entire time.
Oh yes, we've talked about
this. Yeah, we've talked about it like since season 1.
They've been dropping bombs the entire time. So for I'm not like my father. Don't be like your father.
Yeah.
I'm not my father. Don't be like your father. Like the whole time.
Like
it's
if you were
it's
surprised,
pretty obvious.
if you were surprised that she just got mad all of a sudden, I don't know what show you're watching. The show we were watching is that she's been killing. It's like Tyrion said it in the last episode. She's been killing people the entire series, and we've been cheering her on because those people are bad. So she's been used to killing. Killing is not a new thing for her. She's been saying Dracarys a lot of times and be killing a lot of people. They just, on our point of view, they're bad people. So you can kill them. It's okay.
Well,
but when she starts killing people that are innocent, for her, for her, it was justified in her mind. Well, if you're going to put them in my way to stop me from what I'm going to do, I'm still going to kill them, and so that no one else will kill them going forward. I can understand in her mind why it's okay to kill them, but then you can't, as a viewer, sit there and justify her killing innocent people and think she's not going to get killed for it. I don't see how you can, what your rationale can be like, oh, she can kill innocents, and that's okay.
That's happened in the show, though.
I know, but I'm just saying, but I don't understand why you would think her character could just easily do it and get away with it.
Well, here's the thing, is about her, and this is a big topic we have to talk about. So we're aligned with her.
Yeah.
We like her.
We love her. Yeah.
We love her up until this point, and so I do. Whereas I like that they went the Mad Queen route.
Yeah, no problem.
We've been seeing it. I still do feel that we didn't get a full transition aligned with her. Like we saw it happening from other people's perspective, but we never really were fully on her side. Like we saw her upset after they beheaded Missandei, which it was. I mean, she's just like. That's when I knew. I was like, well, here we go.
Yeah, once you said your cross, I'm like, yep, that's exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. But that was like kind of the only real moment. Like, I mean, we really have been on her side for so long, just like all the characters in the show, which is like why it's so interesting to talk about. I just wish they had given us a little more time with her, like aligned with her. Yeah. Even though she is, you know, sort of flipping in this way where she's kind of going down this trajectory that she can't really come back from, I still wish that we had more time with her. Even in the episode where she burns all of King's Landing, we don't see her the whole time.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have wanted to, though. Not at that point.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah. But just leading up to that, I wish that we, and this is someone that we love, you know, and even her death was just felt like I wanted something a little more poignant on her side. I didn't want to be on John's side. Like, I kind of wanted to see it from her perspective as well. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like they did a great job of aligning us with her, even though she's clearly wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because a lot of people think it just like, it happened like that. It didn't happen like that. This is something that's been gradually been happening from the moment the show started, but as soon as she started to lose people, the people, her inner circle, is pretty much why I'm agreeing with you, is because every moment she lost someone, we should have stuck with her more, because that was just slowly getting her to the point where she was gonna go mad. Yeah. Like, she lost Missandei, she lost Tyrion betrayed her, Varys betrayed her.
John is the rightful heir.
John pretty much betrayed her from her point of view.
Her boyfriend nephew.
Rejected her and betrayed her from her point of view. She lost, what's his name? Jorah. Yeah, like all these things is why she ended up doing what she ended up doing. So when one of those moments happened, the show should have spent more time with her, because when we saw her, when she was saying that, you know, Varys betrayed me, when she looked disheveled, I would have wanted more of that, because you could just see it. She's not the Dany we knew anymore. She's turning into something else. And that turn, for some people, seemed like it just happened overnight, but it's something that the show, especially in season 8, should have flushed out even more so. Like, she is slowly
It would have been much more painful. Yeah. And I want that. That's a good thing.
That's
like,
what,
I want
agree.
Pain.
Like, I want it. I want her to eat it. Yeah. Her to be in it. Like,
I wanted to be
oh my god, I lost Jorah. Oh my god, Tyrion betrayed me. Oh my god, Varys betrayed me. Oh my god, Jon is rejecting me. I'm alone. Missandei's gone. I have nothing now. I have no one to turn to. What do I do? Like, I would have loved to have had that moment by herself, figuring out what the hell am I going to do now?
Absolutely.
And it would have been even more of a moment when she's on Drogon and she decides, I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
Absolutely.
If we would have had those moments.
Totally.
And it kind of goes, I'm more or less leaning on your side of it felt rushed. It's just that there's, like, I don't mind that she did it. I don't mind how they got her to do that. And I think if they would have, like they did what we're saying, I don't know if it would have been such a jolt to see her do that for some people. Because for some people, they just couldn't believe, oh my god, why is she doing this now? It's like, no. Trust me, she's not used to, killing is not new to her. She's been killing. So the fact that she's killing people shouldn't shock you. It's the fact that she started to lose her support group, for lack of a better word, and she had no one to talk her out of, like, you know, that's not a good thing. You shouldn't kill people.
It makes sense, but just as an audience member who really likes this character and
I love her too.
Has been rooting for her, I wanted them to just
her character deserved
guide me more on her side, and like see, because they've done this before. Like, we've seen characters that we like make stupid decisions, like Robb Stark, Ned Stark. You know, like it's like, oh, that's probably not great, but oh man, do I really want to see you succeed? Yes, I do. Yeah. And then they die. You know, so like the show has done this, and it's done it really, really well. It took the entire first season for us to really like Ned Stark, and then, you know, it's like, yeah, I think he's, you know, he's so good, but also, oh my god, is he fucking up? And then he dies.
Is he doing the right thing?
You know, and I feel that I wish that we had that with Daenerys, even though we have been building up to that for seasons, we still haven't. There's a point where she snaps, right? Yeah. And I wanted to see that, like, oh, I like you, but oh man, you're making the wrong choice. Oh no. And I wish that we had that, and I feel like that's a huge huge shortcoming for season 8.
And I also wish that they would have set it up in a way where you're still on her side while she's doing it. It's hard.
That's what I'm saying.
It's hard to be on her side when she's killing women and children. It'd be easier for me to be on her side. So if she just killed even though the Lannister men like surrendered, if she just burned all of them and then went to King's Landing and did what she did. But the fact that she literally went like row by row, like burning innocents, it's hard to still be on her side.
Well, and they surrendered too.
Yeah,
you know,
but like if she just killed
she could have just gone for Cersei. Like Drogon could have just taken her out, and then she would be like, "All right, I'm happy now." But that wasn't.
But I'm saying people could understand like, well, if she just killed the soldiers, then it'd be okay, and I would agree with that. If she just killed, like, even though they surrendered, I still would have been okay if she just killed them all.
Yeah.
Because she's like, well, they're loyal to Cersei. Her rationale there would be okay, be justified. Like, now I don't want any of those men. Let's burn them all. That's fine. But you can't be on her side. So in the show, we lose her when she starts doing that, and on top of that, she gives that speech where it's like, well, now that we're done liberating these people, let's go liberate everywhere. Let's go to Winterfell and then Dorne and all these other, like, there's no problem.
It's very, I mean,
it's
honestly,
like,
I liked that scene a lot because it was very Nazi Germany.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It was...
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was well shot. I mean, there's the shot where she's walking down and the dragon wings come
Oh, yeah,
her,
that's a great shot. I would love a closer of that.
Oh, but yeah, I mean... She thinks she's doing like all these great things, and I wanted to be aligned with her so much.
But the show in a sense also made it where like she thinks, just like any good villain, she's the hero. Mm-hmm. She's still the hero. She thinks what she's doing is right and just, but I just don't like how she got to that point. And it goes back to what we've been saying is the end result's one thing, the journey is another, and how you get there is just as important as what happens at the end. So the fact that how Dany got to that point, I think, was stumbled just as badly, not as badly as the Night King, but it could have been handled a lot differently. And I think if it had been, we would feel different about the ending. Because even how Daenerys died, like I wanted Jon to kill her, and I'm glad that he did it, but it was just very...
This is something I have strong thoughts about.
Yeah.
I never bought their relationship at all. I don't think they had chemistry as actors or even just as... I don't think... It didn't work for me. It never worked for me. And so I never bought it. And so it was always kind of like, yeah, he just likes her titties. Or, you know, like... It's kind of like very fake, very on the surface. I never bought that either of them loved the other one at all. Never.
I got it.
I never bought it at all. It seemed so fake to me. And so...
Well, they don't have as good as chemistry as Jon had with what's her name?
Which is his actual wife.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean...
They had such good chemistry, that's why he ended up being... That's why they got married.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, okay, so good point. So, yeah, so... It didn't work for me. I never felt like, I don't like this. I don't want it to happen. Also, they're not really selling me on it because the chemistry is not great between the actors. And so...
Well, maybe that's on purpose because they're aunt.
That's my point.
Nephew. Maybe
but hold on. That's my point, though. If it actually had worked, then him shoving the knife into her would have been way more depressing and sad and satisfying, and just all these emotions would have come out much more if I had bought their relationship from the get-go. But it didn't mean anything to me. Like, it would have been much better if, and also the showrunners have said that they were actually originally going to have Jorah live through the end.
Ooh,
and that would have been great because he would have been the one to kill her. And that would have been...
But I wouldn't have liked that.
That would have been so much better because it would have been so much more meaningful than fucking Jon fucking Snow, who doesn't know shit about... He knows nothing.
He knows nothing. But we know he doesn't know. But I also... Would it have been different if he was on board with it the entire time?
That's what made it so much more interesting.
Once she went mad, that's when he's like, well, I have to reject you now.
That's why it would have been so much more interesting, is because we would have seen this, like, what do I do kind of moment.
Yeah.
You know? And I didn't buy it with Jon.
Then, if he was on board the whole time,
right.
then he already rejected
and then
already.
He's kind of like,
when she was like, you gotta kill her, he's like, It's not right, but yeah, you're right.
I didn't buy it with John. I didn't think it meant much to me, and it would have meant much more if Jorah had, or maybe they could have made it in such a way where like he was like struggling with the idea of gonna kill her, and then something else takes her out, like the ground crumbles beneath her, which would have been very symbolic.
Almost have to hold her hand and
yeah, and then
do I pull you up? Do I not?
Exactly. And that would have been because I buy their love. I like Jorah and Daenerys. Like, I mean, I know that she doesn't love him the way he loves her, but like that's what makes it so tragic and so beautiful. I would have bought that as like an ending point for her. And it would have been so much more satisfying to see her go out at the hands of Jorah.
I don't think he would have done it. Just like at certain point, they were so loyal and blindly loyal. Like Grey Worm, I think Daenerys could have burned the whole world down, and he would have been okay with it. So I think.
But that's also so boring and shitty because we like Grey Worm, and all of a sudden he sucks.
Well, it's not that he sucks. He's blindly loyal, and I think Jorah...
AKA he sucks.
Well,
if you're blindly loyal to someone who sucks, then you suck too.
I guess. Well, he didn't suck all the time, but I think Jorah is in that camp. I think she could have done nothing. I don't think he would have gotten to the point where he could have done it.
I still think they could have written it in a certain way that might have made it just more poetic.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I guess that's my point.
Like I don't mind. Again, I think Jon is the right person to do it. Again, just how it happened.
I don't think Jon's the right person because Jorah's been the person who's been with her since season 1.
I don't think he had it in him.
That's my point. I think it could have been convoluted in such a way where he could have been tricked
or accidentally killed
or it could have been just something. Something more meaningful. Okay. I didn't buy that it wasn't meaningful for me to see Jon do it because I was like, okay, I never bought that you guys were in love in the first place, so I don't care about this. Like it would have been better or Grey Worm or like literally or anyone could have maybe made some kind of mistake and is like, oh, oops, I tripped.
Or
bye. I don't know. It's so hard.
It's hard. All right, let's go to the other biggest problem people had was Cersei.
Oh yeah.
The way she went out.
I have a big problem with this because throughout the entire series.
I did, and then I came back on it, but sorry, continue.
Yeah. So throughout the entire series, she is the biggest threat for everyone because she is the smartest. She is the only weakness she really has is her children. But once her children are dead, then what is she? You can't hurt her outside of maybe Jaime. So that's really interesting. She's just such a good character, and Lena Headey is so good.
So good.
That I do feel like an injustice was done with the way that she went out because I wanted to see her make one last attempt to survive, make one last attempt to fuck up her enemies.
I agree.
Do one more conniving because she's you never know kind of what she's thinking. Like she had one more trick up her sleeve. Like for example, she had
she didn't have any tricks.
That's what I mean.
Tricks.
But I wish that she did because she usually does. She usually is very one step ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So that was an incredibly disappointing thing to see. I didn't mind that she ended up back with Jaime, like you said before we started shooting. It was very like a drug kind of situation where it's like I gotta get back to this person.
Yeah.
I just wish that the best villain in the show would have. And the Night King is nothing compared to what Cersei has done, because she's so smart and she's so.
Not even the Night King's a plot device. Yeah, she was pretty much the
show's... Like she is the show's best villain, and I really wish that they would have done something differently. Also, talking about things that never came to fruition, there's this prophecy that we actually got a flashback of her as a child, getting this prophecy. And of course it just talks about her children dying, but in the books it also talks about how she will die at the hands of her little brother.
I didn't know that.
Yes, so that could have been Tyrion or it could have been Jaime because she came out before Jaime. So this entire series was like, who's going to kill Cersei? Is it going to be Tyrion or is it going to be Jaime? And that kind of never really came to fruition either. So there's a lot of things surrounding Cersei and this prophecy and just, wanting to see her go out in a way that's like, yes, that's the best way for a villain to go out, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that she died. I didn't think she was going to live. It's the fact that how she went out. Again, the journey of it all. And the fact that even at the battle at King's Landing, the fact that she literally just like, all right, Golden Company, go out there.
The fucking Golden Company.
Which was
I'm not even gonna
another
waste
ones that got
breath.
built up.
I'm not even gonna waste breath on the fucking Golden Company.
Yeah, less said about them the
Oh
better.
my God.
Because they really didn't do anything.
No elephants whatsoever.
Maybe they had elephants, but the show couldn't afford it. But whatever. But the fact that she just had the scorpions, had the fleet, and she literally just rested on her morals, felt like that's not Cersei to me. Cersei would have had an ace up her sleeve.
Yep.
The fact like, oh, you think it's going to happen this way,
yep,
and then I'm going to do something else. That's who Cersei is.
Exactly.
That's who we come to know her
100%.
as.
Yep.
And the fact that I was waiting, sitting there waiting, all right, it's not looking good, and she's going to pull something, and it's going to slightly turn in her favor. Obviously, it's not going to go. I knew she was going to lose, but I thought she was going to pull something where something would have happened where she might have maybe injured Drogon, or something would have happened that she would have given her some hope, like, all right, we still got this.
Yeah, or just some unexpected thing
something
that she would have done that's like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like, use the wildfire that's underneath the city again. Do something, anything, something. I don't care, anything. But the fact that she didn't do that, and the fact that she kind of whimpered out is another way I don't really buy that. What would have suited me better is that if Jaime would have mercy killed her. Like, I love the fact that they died together. Them dying on the rocks, no, I don't like that. But I would have liked the fact that if they were surrounded in the same area, same position, and then Jaime realizes, you know what, there's no way out of here. And just like how she was going to mercy kill her son when she thought there was nowhere, and herself, when, I don't want something bad to happen to you, I want to go out on my terms.
Yeah.
I wish Jaime would have been like, you know what?
Yeah.
I love her.
Absolutely.
This is my woman. That's my baby. I want them to go out under my terms. Yeah. Because for me to see her go out on a violent... Like, initially I wanted someone to kill her. But to see that, like, knowing that she's pregnant, I don't know. Maybe because I have a little bit of a soul. That's hard to see. But if Jaime would have given her some kind of potion or just like, kind of like of mice and men, hey, look out over there while I kill you from behind. It should have been
something more poetic.
Yeah, instead of just like, or nothing else matters. I love that him saying that to her, because that line has meaning for both of them. Well, but he could still have said that, and he could have mercy killed her. Yeah. Instead of just the situation killing them both. So
there's so many things that they could have done that would have made so many things more meaningful. Yeah. And I don't understand
her character deserved.
She did.
And a little bit more. Jaime's too, to be honest.
I'm going to take another stance. I actually didn't want her to die. I wanted her to, I thought it would have been really interesting, because we know we're not going to get a sequel. We're going to get a prequel. And we're never going to return to this world and see what happens after. So I think it would have been really interesting for her to survive and kind of just, be on a boat like Gendry. Just sort of and what are you going to do? Because you're not the queen. No one cares who you are. Everyone's dead. And you're pregnant. You know what I mean? I think that would have been a really, really interesting way for her to go out.
That's interesting, but I think people would have hated that too. Like the fact that she's just out there somewhere.
I actually love it. That's why I love it, because I hate it.
That would be interesting. Yeah. That's a lot of balls to do that.
Yeah, but these people didn't have any fucking balls. They didn't have any balls.
Well, remember, George doesn't have balls. So let's just it's his ending. They're just interpreting his ending. Let's also not forget that. It's not like the showrunners are just doing whatever they want.
That's not 100% clear, because...
Well, George said it's the same ending. It's just going to go about different. Like, they're going to get there a little bit differently. Yeah. Well, so it's the same ending's going to happen. So don't think the showrunners are just doing whatever they want and George is just like...
I don't know.
George is involved.
seems that way.
But it's not. He knows that they're not doing it without George's okay. So
okay, so there's one thing we have to talk about then. If we're done with Cersei,
yeah.
we have to talk about Bran. We have to talk about Bran because as long as we're talking about things that never actually come to fruition, Bran is like really high up there on the list. This is the
Three-Eyed Raven part of it.
This is the most powerful character probably in the series, outside of maybe like a dragon.
No, and outside the Night King, because the Night King's pretty powerful.
Well, but
he's a plot device.
But he's dead after season. Yeah. Halfway through season 8. So so this really upsets me. So we're building up this whole idea of Bran as the Three-Eyed Raven and what are his powers. We're kind of like trying to find out. It turns out he can go back in time and actually alter time. Yeah. Which is exactly what happened with Hodor, which is what happened when he was at the Tower of Joy in Dorne, and like, Dad! And he's like, what? So Bran can actually alter the past, and he has altered the past. Future. Yeah, exactly. So this is like the most powerful character, and we never see that again. It's like kind of just over. It's like, oh, yeah.
Well, he wargs in episode 3, and then he never does it again. Yep. And the fact that the world doesn't completely understand his relevance. They only know what he tells them, and he doesn't tell them very much. He just tells them, I'm the Three-Eyed Raven. He doesn't tell them he can see the future. He's
so mysterious.
He's so mysterious, and I can understand it to a point, but what was then the point of making him the Three-Eyed Raven if it has really nothing to do with the outcome of the show?
Yep. Besides
him being crippled. Because, I mean, the fact that he's crippled and has an interesting story is the only reason that Tyrion picked him, and we'll get to Tyrion picking him in a little bit. But the fact that him being the Three-Eyed Raven, I guess the only reason it also is because he has the history of man within him. Okay, but now that the Night King's gone, the life continues on. So
yeah, honestly,
he's the history. Anyone else could tell the history. We don't need the powers of the Three-Eyed Raven if the Night King is gone. So him being the Three-Eyed Raven is irrelevant going forward if man is going to continue to go forward. So again, another thing of the show building that up, and it went
nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. This is really interesting. So season 1, the posters. Do you know about this?
No.
So there's a poster that came out. I remember it because I used to drive to school every day in 2011 on Franklin Boulevard in Hollywood, and there was a massive Game of Thrones poster, and it was Ned Stark sitting on the throne with his sword and whatever.
I think I've seen
You win or die. But guess who else is sitting on the throne?
Oh, Bran is?
A raven.
Oh, really?
Yep. So,
foreshadow.
So everyone's like, oh my god, they spoiled it so many years ago and no one noticed. So that's fun. But, on the subject of Bran, like, what I was really actually hoping was going to happen was, so they introduced time travel and they never used it. You can't do that. You can't just say time travel exists and then not use it. Or not have it affect what is happening in the story. Like, the only thing that it actually really affected was the fact that Hodor could only say his name.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot... It's just, like, 101. You can't be like, oh, I went back in time and I, gave my friend a nice little note and nothing happened. It's like, okay, so why did you even tell me that? Why... You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it has to matter.
And I wish that all the fan theories were true in the sense that maybe he did drive the Mad Cake Man.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going.
Maybe he was Bran the Builder. But make it where his powers actually had more of an impact on the show.
And I would love
and the history of the show.
Yes.
And maybe the prequel show could still do that. We don't know. But in terms of Game of Thrones... Yeah. He didn't really do anything with those powers that had a lasting effect.
I would have loved it if everything... Of course, it starts with Bran because he gets pushed out the window, and that's what, sets everything in motion for the entire series. it would have been so poetic if actually all along he was the one who had kept fucking stuff up in the past that led to where they are now.
Yeah.
And it would have been just so mind-boggling, and I don't know why they didn't do it. I don't know. Like, it could have been, like you were saying, with the Mad King. He was the one who went back and was just sort of, like, watching and hanging out, and then, burn them all, because the White Walkers are at the gate, and so...
So, like, when one of the White Walkers...
Burn them all. Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, when the White Walkers were coming to him, like, he could have walked and then go back there and, like, hey, burn them all, because they're coming. Burn them. And that could have... Like, have it cause and effect. Have something happen. And also, the thing that also bothered me a little bit is that, yes, Jamie pushing him out the window is one of the main triggers. Obviously, Littlefinger and the games he was playing is also a main trigger, but having Jamie push him out the window and that now no one knows about it besides Bran, he's never going to say anything. The fact that one of the driving moments of the show, nobody else knows about it, is a little weird to swallow.
Let's talk about one other thing that no one else knows. The fact that Jon is an actual Targaryen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But a lot of people think, oh, well, they did nothing with it. It did play a role in driving Dany not to trust people and to also...
Once again, though, a plot device.
It is a plot device, but other than that, it didn't... Besides that, it didn't mean anything else.
And it never will, because he's never gonna...
He's not in a position for it to...
He's a wildling now, basically.
Yeah.
So.
No, he's the king beyond the wall. That's what he is.
But there are no kings behind the wall.
Well, no, he is now, I think.
But he's not.
I think he is. I think that's what he ended up being. That's how I interpret the ending. Is that he's now beyond the wall. He's with the wildlings.
He's not a king, though. Because they don't have kings behind the wall.
Well, they did.
No,
Mance Rayder was the king.
No, he wasn't.
Well, yeah, he was the king.
No, he wasn't. Have you watched the show?
Well,
he even says, I'm not the king.
Well, he didn't think that, but they thought he was, so
Whatever. And no one said that.
Well,
no one said that.
Well, but I think
and that's what
he's
matters.
king beyond the wall. That's what I think. That's how I interpreted the ending, but that's beyond the point. The fact of the matter is, yes, that besides him driving Dany Man as a plot device, him being our Targaryen didn't mean anything else. It would have been nice to have seen him getting burned or something.
Yes.
And him
or not burned.
Yeah. And it not happening because he's a Targaryen.
Literally anything would have been. Oh my god! And what if he was the one who was able to just control all the dragons all of a sudden? Like they could have gone all the way, where all of a sudden he's the one who controls Drogon. And Drogon and them, and Rhaegal, and they don't listen to Daenerys anymore.
Or maybe that's you could have said that's the reason why Drogon didn't kill him, is that he's like, well, I'm a Targaryen, you can't kill me, and go about your business. Like just set it up where it means something besides Dany going mad.
Oh my god.
And the fact that only his sisters know and Tyrion knows,
Varys, who died.
No, Varys dies, and what's else's name?
Bob.
No, not Bob.
What?
The other guy, who lost his fingers.
I don't know.
His name.
Davos.
Yeah, Davos. He knows too. So
I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but he lost his fingers. I couldn't remember his name for a second. So only a couple people know, and then it doesn't mean anything anymore. So another thing that got built up that they did I wouldn't say nothing, they did very little with it because it was part of the motivation of Dany starting to lose herself, and start going power hungry. But other than that, it didn't really go anywhere meaningful beyond that. And then that's a shame because the show was building towards that, and they made a big deal about when they told us officially. And they made a big deal when he found out. They made a big deal about when he told Dany, and then other than that, didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So many threads that have started to be woven and then just fell apart.
Yeah.
And never actually came to fruition. Like Arya, for example, she never really actually used her powers as a. I thought she was going to wear Peter's face to go down and kill Cersei.
I thought that was how they're going to get into the castle. I thought like he's gonna pose as Peter and do something with it. Like the fact that again she killed the Night King, didn't have a problem with that. Didn't have a problem with her sailing off into who knows. Don't have a problem with that because what else are they gonna do with her? she wasn't gonna marry. If she would have married Gendry, I would have lost my mind. I would have lost my mind at that point because that would have been a true departure from her character. Yeah. The fact that she wants to be an adventurer, that doesn't bother me at all. I mean, what else is she gonna do? Who else? There's no one on her list for her to kill.
Right, but she didn't do. I mean,
go figure something out.
I do feel that they built up her character, and then Melisandre's kind of like, oh, you're gonna kill some blue-eyed dude, go do it. And then she's like, okay, and then she kills the blue-eyed dude, which is the Night King, and then nothing. I don't know. Like I feel like they just needed more time with these characters. Like if we had like 4 more episodes maybe, or another 6-episode season, we could have really put to bed a lot of these things that were happening.
Yeah, I mean,
Arya with the white horse. It's like
I don't know what that was.
What are you
that
doing?
was
what are you doing?
Weird and
what are you doing?
Didn't do anything.
What are
but I do like the fact that she was like running around while everything was happening. We saw from the chaos from her point of view. Mm-hmm. So I did like that, but there's the white horse thing, and then it disappeared. Where did it go?
So weird.
I don't know.
What were they thinking?
It morphed away like she morphed right next to Jon near the stairs.
I feel like in terms of like the entire series, the only character arc that I felt really came to fruition in a way that I felt really happy about it was Sansa's. So,
which a lot of people had a problem with that at the end too.
I don't have a problem with that at all because I feel like it worked so well for me.
She did too.
It followed this trajectory that made complete sense in the time that we were given, and so I was really happy about that. I just wish that they had been able to do that with a lot of the other characters that we really loved.
Yeah, because it made sense for her to be like, well, she learned from Peter, she learned from Cersei, and the fact that she was like, oh, they're gonna name my brother king, I'm gonna take something for me.
It's like, brother, I love you, but which also that scene was just like super problematic because
we'll talk about Tyrion in a sec, but the fact that she was like, oh, I'm just gonna carve out the North for myself felt right to me based on what the North went through. That no one else besides Northerners will understand and get because of what they went through.
Yep.
So for her to just like, hey, well, we deserve our reward for basically getting rid of the Night King. We should be independent. And I understand it for her asking for it, and I understand that she got it, and I understand that she would be queen of the North. All those things make perfect sense.
The queen in the North.
Queen in the North. I like a shirt. Queen in the North. I'll buy it. I love the fact that she got that and she deserved it because the Stark family's been shitted on from the beginning. So the fact that all the Starks kind of win at the end, I like. How they got there, But with Sansa anyway, I feel that they got her. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. They got her right. Mm-hmm. Yep. We saw everything with her that we needed to see. There was no thing, well, I wish they could have done with her. No. I liked everything.
That's the one character I feel like, all right, we did it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tyrion. So, I mean, you can understand, he can justify everything that he did in terms of letting his brother go, in terms of like trying to figure out an exit strategy for his brother and his sister. I get all that. He still loves them. I get that. And it's when he saw them dead, I understand his pain and his grief. I understand that he's like, well, Varys is right. Dany's a threat now. I can understand him telling Jon to do it. But at the end, when it's time for him to like, I don't want to be king, but what I will do is I'll nominate someone, and then everybody just goes about it like Tyrion is law, because no one else said anything.
Like, okay.
Well, I think it should be Bran. Oh, okay.
Oh, sure.
Okay, like, no one else has a claim? Like, Gendry is sitting right there, and I said it from since when he got his title, he has the best claim now. His dad was on the throne. He's a Baratheon now. He has a claim. Either he should have said it, or someone sitting there should be like, his dad was king. Maybe he should be king now. Even if you don't make him king, just bring it up because we all thinking it. He's sitting right there.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point about, like, why did no one else
Counter.
care? I mean, outside of Edmure.
Oh, and they're like,
and the Sansa's like, sit down.
Sit down.
Sit down.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. No, it did. That was very weird. Like, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, democracy, woohoo!
But also funny that Sam brought it up earlier, and they're like, ha ha ha,
exactly. Sam brought it up, and everyone laughed.
Oh,
stupid.
I
know.
It's like, oh, you guys just did democracy. You just didn't involve the people, but you decided democratically who should rule, and then you're going to decide going forward who should rule.
Ridiculous.
So
Tyrion. So what? Why? Like, he's been so smart, so conniving, in a good way.
Yeah.
Just a survivor, and really just has the best heart with the best ideas, and he, like, season 7 and 8, he makes all the wrong choices.
Which
Fucks
I'm okay
up
with.
all the. No, I think that's stupid.
Well, because even the cleverest man isn't right all the time. Even the smartest man in the room isn't right all the time.
All the time is one thing, but, like, none of the time is another thing.
Well, he wasn't
like, he
wrong
literally
all the time.
No, he was wrong all the time. And that was his whole arc in the last 2 seasons, was the fact that he kept fucking up, and Daenerys is like, really? 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 I'm gonna kill you. Really? Really?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, but I'm okay with that. I mean,
it's stupid, because then, what is his point? What is the point of him being a character anymore if he's not the smartest person in the room? What is the point if he...
But he still is.
But he's not.
Because you get something wrong doesn't mean you're not smart anymore. That just... Him getting something wrong is like, oh, your smart title is now taken away.
For 2 seasons? For 2 seasons, he hasn't done anything that means anything. As a character, he hasn't done anything that actually means anything.
They breaking at the end.
Except that, why would anyone listen to him? Because he historically doesn't do anything great.
But not even that. Historically, his point was claim. Who has the claim? Because even with Daenerys, it's like, well, she has a good claim. And then he was also worried about, who is your heir going to be? Because then they would have a claim. His whole point was claim. So then why would he literally make a 180 and be like, all right, fuck claim. Let's just appoint someone.
Yes.
Not worry about who has the best claim. All right, I'm just going to appoint you because you have the best story.
This is a good point, because in season 7, there's a scene with him and Daenerys where he's like, who's going to have the throne when you're dead?
Yeah.
They have this entire conversation about it. Mm. So what does that mean?
Like, that means it means little now.
Well, it means literally nothing.
Yeah, because he was worried about, like, well, what if one of those you're riding Drogo, what if those arrows take you off? What are we gonna do?
Well, that's the point. Like, they keep, like, setting stuff up for dramatic purposes, but then never actually execute dramatic purposes.
Yeah.
You know, like, that actually never mattered.
Because it's hard for me to believe all those people would sit there and just agree with Tyrion, considering what has happened with Dany and all of them, that they would just literally just come to an agreement that easily. Even if they didn't pick Gendry, just have a discussion about someone else seriously without then go to Bran and be like, all right, well,
Who was it that said, like, why should we trust the man in chains or in handcuffs? It's like, yeah. So the writers knew that they were fucking up. They're like, I better put that line in there so we can cover our asses.
Like, what about Tyrion? Like, I don't think, who's gonna trust me?
Stupid.
And I'm glad, and I just found it weird they just all agreed so easily. It's like, all these people never agreed really on anything. All of them collectively now agree on this one thing, when they easily could have tried to play the Game of Thrones, which is what the show is called, some more, and put some kind of, like, conflict in there, but just like, Bran, aye. So, I mean, that was a little bit of a weird thing, but the fact that it is what it is. Anything else we want to cover, like, just generally?
I mean, I feel like we talked about everything. Like, the only thing is that, what I really wanted in terms of, like, a series arc is I really wanted, the last thing I'm going to say, we saw on the Stark perspective, we saw Ned Stark die, we saw Robb Stark die, we saw Catelyn Stark die.
Yeah.
I wanted to like feel that pain again at the very end of those deaths that we had to endure. And I didn't feel like we got that because they were really hard to watch when we were experiencing them in the moment. And then it mattered, but also like we kind of never talked about it again. So like none of the characters actually, I think there's like one mention of the Red Wedding, but no one actually really. And then there was the scene where Arya sees the play about her father's beheading.
Yeah.
And like that was kind of meaningful. I kind of wanted to wrap up a little bit in that same way in season 8, where like all the pain that we kind of endured came back. And I don't know how that would have been possible, but maybe you know what I'm saying.
I do.
A little bit. Like just a reminder of everything that we've endured would have been nice.
And also if something in season 8 would have happened that was as shocking and meaningful as any like Ned Stark's death, those moments are like buried into your brain and you'll never forget those. Besides the Night King, even in retrospect now, the Night King dying isn't as big of a moment now.
Or Daenerys even.
Or because of how it was handled, how those other deaths were handled were meaningful and impactful. And it was a gut punch when it happened. Like, oh my God, they just killed such and such in the way that they killed them.
Yep.
It's not the fact that even that they killed them, it's how they were killed. Because when you're watching Ned Stark, you think from watching conventional television, someone's going to save him. He's not going to die. And when you go, oh my God, he just killed the main character. What kind of show is this?
Yeah.
When the Red Wedding happened, you're like, oh my, they died in the wedding? Like,
that
really?
Was,
it's like those kind of things.
Those
are the most impactful moments of the show. The Night King dying now means nothing now. Daenerys dying the way she did is very lackluster, to say it kindly. But before we put a wrap on everything, let's just talk about really quick favorite season of the show.
3 or 4?
I'm gonna say 4.
Okay.
4.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Favorite character arc from beginning to end.
Ooh, that's a hard one because I feel like they dropped the ball in the last couple seasons with a lot of my favorite characters. I love the Hound. And
that's a good one. That's a good pick.
Like, that was an arc that I felt really completed itself in a way that was tragic. Like, Sansa's was a nice story. I mean, obviously, like, there were some moments where it was not very nice.
Satisfying.
But it ended up, but the Hound, the Clegane Bowl, which we got, which was very Star Warsy.
I liked it. It got a little weird towards the end.
Definitely did.
But how it ended, again, was fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I might say the Hound. I wish they had done a little bit more with the Lord of Light. I wish that he had wielded a fire sword because he's just afraid of fire. It would have been very poetic. But yeah, how about you?
I would say Jaime. I loved, like some people may not like it, you don't, but I love Jaime's arc because the way in my mind I see Jaime, I see that shot of him taking off his helmet in the first episode of season 1 to him going back to Winterfell in season 8, and he's not the same guy. Regardless of how the show ended.
He's the same guy.
He's not.
Yes, he is.
Well, we'll agree to disagree. He's a lion. He is the Kingslayer in episode 1, season 1. He is not that.
Yeah, he is.
No, he's a shell of himself. And I love the journey he went on. Regardless of how he fell off the wagon, for lack of a better term, and he went back to Cersei. I love the fact that he had a moment where his life could have went somewhere else, and he chose not. He fell off the wagon and he went back to Cersei. I love the fact that his character got to that point, because if you told us or him in season 1, episode 1, like, yeah, you're going to lose your hand and you're going to do all these things, we wouldn't believe it and he wouldn't have believed it. But it did happen. So I loved his journey. Even though, the last couple episodes were iffy, I loved the entire thing. So, worst character arc, do you think?
Jamie.
For the exact opposite reasons of mine?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was one that was disappointing to me, and like I liked the way that it ended up. Like, I understand that he would have ended up back with Cersei, but I think it was once again like a finesse thing that I wish that they had really taken a little bit more time with him in the last season to really make me feel like, oh yes, this is the way it's supposed to be. They like kind of just were like, and I was like, oh no, I don't like that. So yeah, I really, that was like the most disappointing to me, in terms of like character arcs, in terms of potential as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I don't need him to be like all of a sudden like go from I'm a bad person to a hero. Like, I like the sort of like, I'm good, but also I'm kind of always the way I'm gonna be type of thing. I like that. I just wish that they had not done it so poorly.
Yeah.
But also Tyrion too. That was a big disappointment for me. I feel like they didn't do anything with him the last couple seasons.
That's fair.
Yeah. How about you? Biggest disappointment?
Night King, it has to be.
Oh.
I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, from everything we talked about before, but it just literally, like, from the moment you first saw him, you're like, oh my god, this guy's going to wreck shop. And he kind of did, and then you like, after Hardhome, and then after everything that happened, leading up to the Long Night, you're thinking, man, what the hell are they going to do with this guy? Like, how are they going to stop him? And it just fell flat. Like, he had so much momentum that they had built up, and that was just that they did nothing with it. It's just the biggest disappointment to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
The most shocking moment, you think, in the series?
The Red Wedding.
Red Wedding, yeah.
Absolutely, the Red Wedding. I mean, I remember watching it, not knowing, like, as it aired. I remember watching it as it aired, and as being, I'm not a fan of the books, so I was like crying, and there's no music for the credits after that. There's like no, it's just, I just remember complete silence, and I'm just like crying, and I'm just like
being it.
I was there.
Yeah.
Like I will never forget that moment. Like, that was such a moment for me. And it's crazy that Game of Thrones provided me this thing that I will never forget.
Absolutely.
And what about you? Shocking moment?
I mean, the Red Wedding is one thing, but I'm going to go the other wedding, the Purple Wedding, only because of not only that they killed Joffrey in the episode that they killed him. They killed him in episode 2 of season 4. Yep. So the way the show has been set up in the first 3 seasons, you're thinking, oh, he might have, the shocking death happens in episode 9 and the fall happens in 10. They did it in episode 2. So it is a complete out of left field. Now, it's one thing that he's died. He died that early in the season 2, and then the whole season. One of the reasons I love 4 the most is because the fallout is the whole rest of season 4. So the fact that they killed him in episode 2 of season 4 was just so shocking to me. So I think that is another point where you're like, oh my god, this show is just, you don't know when someone's going to go out now. It's not like you're kind of thinking, oh, something bad is really going to happen in episode 9. Like, no, it could happen at any point. You don't know what episode it could be. So that was really, really like, oh my god. Is it the best show that you've ever watched?
Yes.
Okay, also, is it your favorite?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think, for me, it is the best show I've ever watched. It's not my favorite. Only because my favorite show of all time is 24. Not because of how great, it's not the greatest show of all time. I'll never say that it was. It's just the way it impacted me is it was the first show that I felt like was a must. The way they set it up, you have to watch the next episode. And it's the first show I ever binge watched. Because I never watched the first season while it aired. I was watching Smallville, to be honest. And then once I started hearing about 24, I was like, oh my god, I started to binge watch 24. And then from season 2 on, I was watching it live every time. But Game of Thrones is the best show I've ever watched. Even though it stumbled towards the end, it's still the best show I've ever watched. Your favorite character?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Yeah. Favorite character? It was Tyrion for a while, but then I feel like they kind of dropped the ball on him. Oh man. I don't know. You go first. Who's your favorite?
Arya. She's my favorite. Jon Snow is a close 1A, 1 and 1A for me, but Arya, if I have to pick one, it's her. Just the fact that when we saw her, this little girl with the helmet on her head in episode 1, to the woman she turned into and the killer she turned into, and all the things that happened to her along the way. I loved her journey the best. She didn't have the best arc. I still think that's Jaime, but she's right up there with him in terms of where she started and where she ended. I loved her character. Loved to see her take people off of her list. It was just great. I loved her from start to end.
Yeah, I'll probably agree with you. I think she's the safest bet, like, just from start to finish. Great character. Great character. I also love the Hound, though.
Yeah, I mean,
I really do.
Well, Hound had a great arc himself, too.
Mm-hmm.
Character you hated the most?
Hated the most. Like, in terms of what the writers did with the character, or in terms of, like, just most hateable character?
Yes, most hateable.
Ooh. I don't like Stannis at all. I do not like that guy.
That's a very good pick.
He's just an asshat, and I fucking hate him. I don't like Stannis.
Yeah, I didn't like him, and then when he killed Shireen, it was just like, dude,
no,
you have to die.
I don't like him.
You had to.
There was no moment. I mean, there were like a couple moments where he's like, "You're my daughter," and I was like, "Oh, maybe he has a heart."
Yeah, maybe.
But like, no, he's not a good dude. I don't like him.
It's Ramsay for me.
Really? Because I find him fun to watch. You know,
he's a fun,
I actually love.
He's a fun villain to watch, but he's like, there's no redeeming quality to him at all, And you thought Joffrey was bad. Ramsay's worse. He's worse considering he killed his dad, he killed his brother, he killed his stepmom, he raped Sansa, he destroyed.
He's pretty despicable.
Yeah, he did a whole bunch Like he is the worst. He's technically behind Cersei. He's the best villain the show ever had. Because he had a lot of.
I was so sad to see him go because I loved him as a villain.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to count Littlefinger as a villain too, he's up there too. But Ramsay is he's the worst. He's just the worst of the worst. I think I don't know if there's any other things we need to discuss about the show in general.
Favorite dragon?
Who's Drogon?
I like Viserion, but he died.
Well, he didn't really do anything. Drogon's the best. Come on. Anyways, I think that's where we leave it. So let's rank the show as a series from 1 to 10.
Wow. 1 out of 10. What? Dragons? Eggs?
Yeah, dragon eggs.
Iron Thrones?
Or yeah, Iron Thrones. Yes.
All right. I mean, I'm gonna give it a 8. 8 Iron Thrones. 8.5 maybe. Yeah, 8.5. You know, it's a great show. It really it's. I don't want to say it's changed my life, but it probably has. I don't know how, but it probably has.
Yeah. I mean, I think like once the dust is settled on Game of Thrones, we're gonna look back on it.
Yeah.
The same way we look at The Sopranos and Game of Thrones. Like it's going to be up there with the greatest shows of all time. I think people don't see it now because we literally just got off that train, but once time is settled, we'll look back on like, wow, Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Well,
it's not only a great show, it has an impact on pop culture.
That's important.
Hands down, you can't deny that Game of Thrones had an impact.
Massive impact.
A huge impact. Like it's going to go down as one of the. It is in the top 5. I don't care if you have a brain. It's in the top 5 of anyone's list. If you watched it, it has to be. Mm-hmm. So from that point, for me, it's a 9. But full transparency, if 8 would have played out, was handled differently, not ended differently, played out differently, it could easily be a 9.5 for me. Like,
my score would have gone up if it weren't for the last 2 seasons. Yeah.
That's fair to say. All right. So, guys, that's what our thoughts are on the show in general. If you want to know our thoughts specifically on seasons or episodes, season 7 or 8, we did season recaps for seasons 1 through 6, and we did episode breakdowns for seasons 7 and 8. So if you're interested, go on our channel and search those out and give us your thoughts on those, but also give us your thoughts on the series as a whole. What do you think about the series in general? What do you think its legacy is? What was your favorite season, your favorite character, your favorite moment, your favorite death? Let us know. Put the conversations below. Let's start the conversation. What are your lasting memories of Game of Thrones for you? What are you going to remember? 10 years from now, are you still going to be saying Dracarys? I pretty sure think I am.
Always.
I think I'm always going to be saying it because that word is just great. But just let us know. Let's start the conversation below. Also, make sure to like and subscribe and share, do all those great things. Make sure to hit that notification bell to be notified when our next videos go up on our channel. And until next time, I'm Sean.
I'm Alex.
Bye.
Dracarys!